The rain hammered Willow Creek like it had a personal grudge, turning the cracked sidewalks into rivers that swallowed sneakers whole. I stumbled into the bakery just as thunder cracked the sky open, my shirt plastered to my skin, tears mixing with the downpour on my face. I'd driven 3 hours from the city that morning, fleeing the ghost of Mark's laughter echoing in our empty apartment. And now here I was, collapsing against a display case of croissants that looked too perfect to be real. Jordan looked up from behind the counter, his dark eyes steady as the storm outside, and without a word, he slid a steaming mug of coffee my way, like he'd been waiting for me to break all along. That mug changed everything, though I didn't know it then. Willow Creek was the kind of small American town where everyone knew your business before you did. Nestled in the rolling hills of upstate New York, with its red brick main street lined by mom-and-pop shops and a single stoplight that blinked like it was half asleep. I'd chosen it on a whim, scrolling real estate listings while nursing a bottle of cheap whiskey, desperate for a place where no one had seen me at my worst. The bookstore I'd bought sight unseen sat across from Jordan's bakery, a dusty relic called Pages and Petals that smelled of old paper and faint mildew. I was Alex Harper, 28, former graphic designer turned reluctant bookseller, and gay as the day is long, but after Mark, I wasn't sure I believed in days anymore. Jordan was the first face I saw that afternoon, after the rain eased to a drizzle and I dragged my soaked boxes inside. He crossed the street with a paper bag swinging from his wrist, knocking on the door with knuckles dusted in flour. "Heard you were the new guy," he said, voice low and warm like fresh bread, pushing the bag into my hands. Inside were scones still warm from the oven, cranberry and orange zest, the kind that melt on your tongue and make you forget the cold. I mumbled a thanks, avoiding his gaze. Those eyes, hazel flecked with green, saw too much. He lingered, leaning against the doorframe, his apron tied loose over a faded band tee. "If you need shelves fixed or just someone to curse the ghosts with, I'm across the way. Name's Jordan Ellis." I nodded, shoving a scone into my mouth to buy time. It was heaven, flaky and tart, but it lodged in my throat like regret. Mark used to bake, badly, all lopsided muffins and burned edges, but we'd laughed about it over coffee in bed. Now, every bite tasted like loss. Jordan didn't push. He just wiped his hands on his jeans and walked back to his shop, the bell above his door jingling like a promise I wasn't ready to keep. Unpacking took days, fueled by those scones and black coffee that burned going down. Willow Creek unfolded slowly. Mrs. Hargrove from the florist next door brought casseroles she swore were welcome wagons, her eyes sharp as she sized me up, single and city bred. The diner down the block served pie that stuck to your ribs, and the library, tiny, with creaky floors, lent me dog-eared paperbacks to fill the empty shelves. But it was Jordan who wove and uninvited, appearing with coffee runs or advice on local suppliers, his presence a quiet anchor in the chaos. One evening, as I wrestled with a wonky display rack, he showed up again, sleeves rolled to his elbows, veins standing out on his forearms from hours of kneading. "Let me," he said, kneeling to tighten bolts with a wrench from his pocket. We worked in silence at first, the only sound the scrape of metal and the distant hum of crickets outside. Then, casual as the weather, he asked, "What brought you here, Alex?" "Not the scenery, I bet. We've got more cows than culture." I laughed, surprising myself. Running mostly. From a life that didn't fit anymore. The words slipped out, raw and unpolished. Mark's face flashed, his smile turning cruel the night he confessed to the affair, packing his bags while I begged him to stay. Jordan didn't flinch. He just handed me the wrench, our fingers brushing, a spark that made my pulse stutter. "Willow Creek's good for that," he replied. "Hides the scars till you're ready to show 'em." That night, I lay on the cot in the back room, staring at water stains on the ceiling, replaying the touch. It had been months since anyone saw me, really saw me, and Jordan's gaze lingered like he knew the shape of my hurt. But secrets have a way of surfacing, and mine was a letter I'd found in Mark's drawer. Not just an affair, but promises to someone else, someone who'd followed him to the city. I'd burned it, but the ash clung. The next morning, I crossed to the bakery for payback, a stack of used novels I'd culled from the inventory, hoping to trade for more scones. Jordan was behind the counter, piping icing onto cupcakes, his focus absolute. Up close, he was striking, tousled brown hair, a jawline shadowed with stubble, and laugh lines that deepened when he grinned. Books for baked goods? You're speaking my language. He flipped through the stack, pausing on a worn copy of Giovanni's Room. His fingers traced the spine. This one's a heartbreaker. Ever read it? Twice, I said. Both times it wrecked me. Baldwin's words on hidden love, the ache of denial, they mirrored my own too closely. Jordan set it aside, like it was fragile. Stick around town long enough, and you'll find your own stories not so alone. He slid a tray of cupcakes my way, no charge, chocolate with a swirl of vanilla that whispered comfort. As I left, bag in hand, I caught him watching from the window, and for the first time since the breakup, the knot in my chest loosened, just a fraction. Friendships crept in next. Lena, the librarian across the green, became my first real ally. Mid-30s, with a pixie-cut dyed electric blue and a tattoo of bookshelves climbing her arm. She was a lesbian who'd fled her own conservative family years back. Small towns are petri dishes for drama, she warned over lunch at the diner, her fork spearing a fry. But the good ones, they grow on you. She dragged me to her book club, a ragtag group of 5 retirees, a teacher, and Riley, a non-binary barista from the coffee shop who used they/them pronouns and baked worse than Mark, but with more flair. Riley took to me instantly, slinging an arm around my shoulders. You're the hot new bookseller everyone's whispering about. Spill, city boy with a tragic past. I deflected with jokes, but their easy acceptance chipped at my walls. They were bi, out and proud, dating a string of locals who never stuck, but their optimism was infectious. Love's a gamble, Alex. Worst case, you lose the pot, but you always walk away richer. Jordan joined us once, squeezed into the booth with flowers still on his collar. The group ribbed him about his mystery man status, single for 2 years, they said, since his partner, Theo, passed from cancer. He brushed it off with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, but later, walking me home, he admitted, Theo was the light. After, the bakery kept me going, dough doesn't judge. His voice cracked, just once, and I wanted to reach for him, to say I understood the hollow mornings, the way grief needs you raw. But I held back. Misunderstandings brewed early. Mrs. Hargrove cornered me one afternoon, her voice syrup-sweet over a bouquet of wilted daisies. Such a nice young man, settling in. Though I hear you're, one of those. The word hung, laced with the town's undercurrent of prejudice, whispers about the gay baker who'd scared off customers after Theo's funeral. I stiffened, forcing a smile. Flowers for the shop, thanks. But inside, doubt festered. Was Jordan kind because he pitied the broken queer kid, or something more? That doubt ignited the first conflict when Riley invited us to a bonfire at the lake. Stars pricked the sky, flames dancing on the water's edge, and bottles passed hand to hand. Jordan sat close, our knees brushing, sharing stories of Theo's terrible jokes. Laughter bubbled up, real and rare, until Riley leaned in, tipsy and bold, planting a kiss on my cheek. To new beginnings, they toasted. Jordan's jaw tightened, visible in the firelight, and he stood abruptly, muttering about an early bake. I followed him to the water's edge, heart pounding. What was that? He stared at the ripples, hands shoved deep in his pockets. Nothing. Just old habits. Seeing you with Riley, it stirred things. Jealousy, raw and unexpected. But before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Tell Jordan I said hi. Mark. My blood ran cold. How? I'd changed numbers, scrubbed my traces. The surprise hit like a wave. Mark, tracking me down, his words a hook in my healing scar. I deleted the text without replying, but it lingered like smoke, tainting the night. Jordan noticed my silence on the drive back, his truck rumbling over potholes, headlights cutting the dark. Everything okay? I nodded. Too quick, the lie bitter on my tongue. The bakery's neon sign glowed ahead, a beacon pulling us in. He parked, engine ticking cool, and turned to me. Alex, if it's about earlier, I don't want to push. But you're under my skin already. His hand hovered near mine, then dropped. I fled inside my shop, bolting the door, hard a war drum. Sleep evaded me, Mark's message replaying on loop. How had he found me? A mutual friend, perhaps, or the real estate listing I'd posted in haste. By dawn, Exhaustion won, and I dragged myself to open the store, shelves half-stocked with romance novels that mocked my resolve. Customers trickled in, farmers in flannel, kids on bikes, Lena with a stack of returns. But my eyes strayed across the street, to Jordan's window where he shaped dough with rhythmic punches, oblivious to the storm I'd carried over. Their words landed heavy, stirring guilt. I'd glimpsed Jordan's pain, but assumed it was healed over, like mine pretended to be. What if I'm not ready? I confessed, voice low. Riley softened, squeezing my hand. Ready's a myth. You jump when the water's warm. They left with a dog-eared queer poetry anthology, promising to text poetry lines for the window display. Jordan came by at lunch, tray balanced precarious. Sandwiches on house-baked rye, ham and Swiss with a mustard kick that made my eyes water. Truce, he asked, setting it down. His smile was tentative, flour smudged on his cheek like war paint. We ate on the back steps, sun slanting through maple leaves, talking safe things, favorite books, worst burns in the oven. But undercurrent pulled, his knee against mine, deliberate now, and when I laughed at his story of a cake collapse that buried the mayor's wife in frosting, he watched my mouth like it held secrets. That ease shattered that afternoon when Mrs. Hargrove returned, this time with her knitting circle in tow, 3 gray-haired women clutching purses like shields. We've come to discuss inventory, she announced, eyes darting to the LGBTQ+ section I'd quietly stocked. Baldwin, Wolf, a few contemporary voices. Some titles might not suit families. The implication stung, their stares appraising me as the outsider tainting their wholesome town. I stood tall, voice steady. Everyone's welcome here. Books don't discriminate. They huffed out, bells chiming accusation, leaving whispers in their wake. Jordan heard it all from his doorway, crossing over as they vanished. Don't let them burrow in, he said, voice fierce. They tried the same with me after Theo, boycotted for weeks. But bread's a great equalizer. Hunger wins out. He touched my shoulder, thumb brushing my collarbone, a comfort that sent warmth pooling low. You're braver than you think, Alex. Bravery felt fragile that night, alone with Mark's ghost. I Googled his name on a whim, old habit, and found him. New job, new city, tagged in photos with the affair partner, a smiling guy named Chris. The knife twisted deeper. They'd built something on my ruins. Tears came hot, and I texted Riley in a haze. Bad night. Drinks. They arrived with takeout and a bottle of red, crashing on my couch amid unpacked boxes. Mark's an ass, they declared, pouring generously. But you're here, blooming. And Jordan? He's circling like a moth. We talked till midnight, Riley sharing their own scars, coming out to a family that chose silence over support, dating apps that ghosted after labels. Queer life's a tightrope, they said, but we balanced together. Their hug lingered, platonic anchor, but guilt nipped. Had Jordan seen it as more? The jealousy from the bonfire echoed, a misunderstanding I needed to unravel. Next day brought surprise, a delivery to the bakery, addressed to Jordan from an estate lawyer in the city. I watched from my window as he signed, face paling, then retreated inside. Curiosity pulled me over at closing, the shop empty save for the scent of cooling loaves. Rough day, I ventured, leaning on the counter. He unfolded the envelope, a photo spilling out. Theo, young and laughing, arm around a stranger who looked eerily like me. No, slimmer, but the eyes, the tilt of the smile. Theo's brother, Jordan explained, voice thick. Sent this after the reading. Said his brother, Mark, mentioned me once, in passing. Small world, huh? Mark. The name dropped like a stone. Jordan's eyes searched mine, piecing it. You know him? I froze, then nodded, the truth tumbling. The breakup, the betrayal, the flight to Willow Creek. Jordan listened without interruption, his hand finding mine across the flour-dusted wood. He came through here once, years back, with Theo. Bought pastries, flirted shameless. I didn't know. The revelation hung. Mark, the bridge between our pains, a thread of coincidence that bound us tighter. Anger flared in me, hot and righteous. He destroyed me. Jordan squeezed my hand. Then let's rebuild something better. The moment stretched, electric, until the oven timer buzzed, shattering it. But as I left, his gaze promised more, a spark amid the dough and heartbreak. Town tensions simmered next. Lena's book club met at my store, discussing the price of salt, voices rising on themes of forbidden love. Riley argued passionately for visibility. An older member, Mr. Ellis, no relation, muttered about pushing agendas. Jordan dropped by mid-debate, tray of cookies in hand, diffusing with humor. Fuel for the fire, chocolate chip, no agendas included. Laughter eased the air, but outside, I caught Hargrove watching, lips pursed. That prejudice peaked at the Harvest Festival, Willow Creek's annual bash. Hayrides, pumpkin carving, a dance under string lights. Riley dragged me, Lena in tow, Jordan meeting us by the cider stand. He looked good, plaid shirt tucked into jeans, hair combed but already tousled. We wandered booths, sharing caramel apples that stuck our teeth, his arm brushing mine in the crowd. Dance later? He murmured, breath warm on my ear. Before I could answer, conflict erupted. A group of locals, Hargrove's circle, beers in hand, clustered near the bonfire, voices carrying slurs disguised as jokes. Town's going soft with all these city types. One pointed our way, eyes on Jordan and me, close as we were. Riley stiffened. Lena's hand found mine. Jordan stepped forward, calm but steel-edged. Enjoy the night, folks. Plenty of pie to go around. They backed off, mumbling, but the damage lingered, a chill in the autumn air. We danced anyway, slow under the lights, Jordan's hand firm on my waist. Ignore them, he whispered. They're scared of what they don't know. His body fit against mine, steady rhythm, and for a song, the world narrowed to us. Heartbeats sinking, breaths mingling. But as the music swelled, my phone vibrated. Another text from Mark. Saw your shop online. Cute. Miss you. Panic surged. I pulled away, mumbling excuses, fleeing to the shadows. Jordan found me by the lake, shoulders shaking. Talk to me. The dam broke. Mark's texts. The stalking fear. The terror of history repeating. Jordan pulled me close. No words, just his chin on my head, holding the pieces. You're safe here. With me. The promise settled deep, but doubt whispered. Could I trust this? Or was it pity for a fellow broken heart? Trust came in fragments after the festival, like crumbs swept from the bakery floor. Jordan started leaving notes in my deliveries, slips of parchment tucked into bread bags. This loaf's as steady as you. Or read page 147. It'll make you smile. I found myself lingering at his counter, watching him work, the poetry in his motions. Fold, press, rise. Willow Creek noticed. Whispers followed me home. Lena warning over tea. Gossip's a weed here. Chokes before you see it. But with Riley's encouragement and Jordan's quiet persistence, I let the soil take root. Our first real date snuck up unannounced. Close early. Jordan texted one crisp October afternoon. Meet me at the orchard. I locked up, heart skittering, and drove the winding road to Hargrove's. Irony not lost, her family farm doubling as the town's apple haven. He waited by a ladder, basket at his feet, grinning like a kid. Pick your own, best therapy. We climbed rows of trees heavy with fruit, sun dappling through leaves, laughter echoing as cores pelted the ground. His stories flowed. Growing up queer in Willow Creek, Theo's arrival like a comet, the bakery born from shared dreams. Mid-pick, he paused, apple in hand, juice glistening. You remind me of him, not the looks, but the quiet fire. The way you fight for your space. Vulnerability cracked his voice. I reached, wiping a smudge from his lip, thumb lingering. The kiss happened slow, inevitable, his mouth soft, tasting of cider and courage. World tilted, branches framing us, and for minutes, no past, no town, just us rising like dough under warm hands. But misunderstandings thrive in afterglow. Back in town, Riley cornered me at the coffee shop, eyes wide. Spill. You two are official. I blushed, nodding, but their face fell. Just, be careful. Heard Hargrove talking, says Jordan's collecting strays after Theo. Old wounds, you know. The words burrowed, twisting the kiss into pity. Was I a rebound, a salve for his grief? Doubt gnawed through dinner that night. Jordan's pasta al dente, but my appetite fled. He sensed it, fork pausing. What's eating you? Honesty spilled. Riley's whisper, my fears of being second best. Jordan's eyes darkened, hurt flashing. Theo's irreplaceable, but you're not a ghost. This, us, it's new, real. He stood, pacing the small kitchen, voice rising. I've waited 2 years to feel this pull. Don't make me the villain in your story. The conflict stung, words weapons we hadn't meant to wield. I left with apologies hanging. The door clicked, a hollow echo. Friendship buffered the fallout. Lena hosted a queer cinema night at the library, projector flickering old VHS tapes. Philadelphia, then broke back. Riley arrived with popcorn, Jordan absent. We dissected scenes, love's quiet rebellions, society's boot on necks. Prejudice isn't loud always, Lena said, pausing the tape. It's the side eye at the grocery, the bless your heart that cuts. Riley nodded, sharing a by erasure story from college, voice steady but eyes wet. We build our own tables, though. Invite who we want. Their solidarity steadied me. But surprise waited at the store next morning. Jordan, early, with a peace offering. A cake, layered vanilla with buttercream roses, inscribed, not second best. He hung back, hands in pockets. Eat it. Or throw it. Your call. I cut a slice, offering him half, and we sat on the floor amid books, knees touching. I'm scared, I admitted. Mark left me hollow. Jordan nodded. Theo's death did that. But hollow spaces fill, with time, with people like you. Forgiveness tasted sweet, like the frosting melting on my tongue. Town dynamics shifted subtly. Hargrove's circle thinned. A few wives snuck in for harmless romances, blushing at the covers. Riley started a zine, Creek Queers, distributing at the diner, cartoons skewering small-town hypocrisies. Jordan contributed recipes with queer twists, Theo's rainbow scones. Pride bloomed, tentative, but prejudice lurked. One evening, as Jordan and I walked hand-in-hand past the bar, catcalls sliced the air, "Go back to the city, freaks." We froze. He squeezed my hand, walking on, but the bruise lingered. Climax brewed at the Winter Prep Fair, Willow Creek's tree lighting, carols, and cocoa. Lena organized a queer story hour for kids, fairy tales with princes kissing princes. Protests murmured, petitions circulated, Hargrove leading with Bible quotes. Riley rallied countersigns. I donated books. Jordan baked for the event, trays of gingerbread folk holding hands, subtle rebellion. Stand with us? He asked, icing knife poised. I did, manning the booth, reading to wide-eyed children while adults glowered. Tension peaked as dusk fell. Hargrove approached, petition in fist. This perversion stops. Voices rose, supporters clashing, a shove, then fists. Jordan pulled me back as chaos swirled, a bottle shattering. In the melee, Mark appeared, uninvited, face twisted in drunken fury. Alex, what the hell? He'd driven up, texts escalating to obsession, convinced our past entitled him to this. You're mine, he snarled, lunging. Jordan stepped between, taking the punch meant for me, blood blooming on his lip. Sirens wailed, the fair dissolved. In the ER waiting room, Riley paced, Lena iced Jordan's knuckles. Restraining order, she urged. Mark was hauled away, charges pending, his surprise intrusion a catalyst. Jordan, stitched and stubborn, met my eyes. Not letting him win. The high tide of conflict crashed, leaving us raw but bonded. Healing followed, slow as snow melt. We talked depths, my internalized shame from a Baptist upbringing, his guilt over surviving Theo. Friendships deepened, Riley confiding a crush on Lena, sparking their own tentative dance. Willow Creek exhaled, Hargrove's petition failed, a few locals apologizing with pies. Jordan's bakery thrived, lines out the door for solidarity specials. One night, snow blanketing Main Street, we closed up together, shop lights dim. Move in, he asked, tentative. I nodded, kissing him fierce, the future unfolding like risen dough, flaky, full, ours. Winter wrapped Willow Creek in white silence, muffling the echoes of the fair's brawl, but not erasing them. Jordan's split lip healed to a faint scar, a badge he wore with wry humor, dabbing concealer only for customer-facing days. Adds character. He'd quip, flexing his jaw in the mirror. I traced it mornings over coffee, guilt a quiet companion. Mark's shadow had drawn blood, literal and not. The restraining order stuck, court papers crisp in my drawer, but his texts persisted from blocked numbers, venomous pleas that curdled my stomach. You'll regret this. We're unfinished. Delete, block, repeat. Therapy sessions with Lena's recommended counselor unpacked the trauma. Voice memos I played back in the car. Our lives intertwined, seamless now, my toothbrush beside his in the bakery's tiny apartment above the ovens. Warm, yeasty scented, with a slat window overlooking the alley. Mornings, I'd wake to his alarm, the creak of floorboards as he descended to punch down overnight rises. I'd join later, sorting mail or sketching display ideas on napkins, our rhythm a duet. But beneath, tensions simmered, my nightmares of Mark's fists, Jordan's flinches at loud voices, echoes of Theo's hospital beeps. Friendships anchored us. Riley and Lena's spark ignited proper. Dinners at the diner turning flirty, hands under tables. You're next, lovebirds. Riley teased one night, clinking mugs at our place, fairy lights strung hasty over exposed beams. Lena, ever the archivist, unearthed town lore. Willow Creek's hidden queer history. Bootleggers who'd loved to cross lines in the 20s. We're not pioneers, she said, passing a photo-yellowed snapshot. Just the latest chapter. It reframed our struggles, less isolated, more legacy. Surprises peppered the season. A letter arrived for me, postmarked City, not Mark, but his sister, Claire, someone I'd liked once, before the family fractures. Heard about the mess. I'm sorry for everything. If you need an ear, I'm here. No judgment, just olive branch. I showed Jordan over pie, his fork pausing. Family's complicated. His own kin, distant, in Ohio, had cut ties post-Theo, disgraced the verdict. We wrote back together, words halting but healing, a bridge to futures untethered. Prejudice didn't vanish, it morphed. Hargrove's glares softened to nods, her grandson sneaking into story hour for the Prince books. But Barb's lingered. A customer skipping Jordan's counter after seeing our linked hands, or graffiti on the bookstore wall, no fags, scrubbed before dawn. Each hit landed, but we absorbed together, turning hurt to fuel. Riley's zine exploded, issues selling out, cartoons going viral on local Facebook groups. Visibility's our weapon, they declared, stapler clicking. Conflict resurfaced subtly, in my head first. A slow sales week at the store, holidays looming. Folks pinching pennies, stirred old insecurities. What if this fails? I vented to Jordan one night, tally sheets crumpled on the table. He pulled me onto his lap, arms solid. Then we pivot. Bakery book hybrid? Storytime with samples. His practicality grounded me, but doubt whispered. Was I dragging him down? City baggage weighing his steady world? The misunderstanding festered unspoken, until a fight brewed over nothing. A forgotten errand, tone sharpening. You're shutting me out, he accused, voice echoing off brick walls. Like I'm Theo's replacement you tolerate. Reversal stung. I fired back. And you're fixing me like a sad puppy. Words hung toxic, doors slamming. I crashed at Lena's, couch sagging under regret, her tea steaming forgiveness. Talk it out, she advised. Love's not linear. Dawn brought clarity. I returned with croissants, ironic peace flag, and apologies layered thick. Jordan met me at the door, eyes red-rimmed. I overstepped. You're not broken, you're building. We talked till noon, vulnerabilities bared. My fear of abandonment, his of loving too fiercely again. Resolution came soft, kisses sealing cracks, stronger for the mend. High tide hit mid-December, town square aglow for the tree lighting redo, post-brawl edition, community mending. Lena emceed. Riley DJ'd carols with queer twists. Jordan and I manned a booth. Hot cider spiked gentle, cookies stamped with pride flags. Crowds swelled, faces familiar. Farmers chatting recipes, kids orbiting our knees. Hargrove even stopped, tentative. Nice spread. No warmth, but truce. Then, the surprise. Mark's car idling at the edge, engine growl cutting the cheer. He'd violated the order, eyes wild through the windshield. Panic surged. I froze, Jordan's hand finding mine. Stay. He flagged the deputy on patrol, Towns 1, Earl, who'd warmed to us post-fare. Mark peeled out before cuffs, but cameras caught plates. Arrest followed days later, trial looming. The climax drained us, statements given in sterile rooms, But closure beckoned, his obsession exposed, my chains loosening. Aftermath bloomed. Jordan proposed a getaway. Cabin in the Adirondacks, snowshoeing, and stews. We drove twisting roads, radio humming folk tunes, arriving to pine hush and a stone hearth. Nights, fire crackling, we shared depths, letters to Theo I'd never sent, dreams of expanding the bakery with a cafe corner for my sketches. Partners, he murmured, fingers laced. In dough and ink. Dawn hikes revealed frozen lakes, mirrors to our thawing hearts. Back in Willow Creek, growth accelerated. The store hosted Queer Tales nights, authors zooming in, seats filled. Jordan's specials sold out, Heartbreak brownies, bittersweet chocolate for the healing. Riley and Lena went official, rings simple but shining. Friendships wove tighter, a chosen family against the cold. One eve, as flurries danced, Jordan knelt in the bakery flour-dusted floor, ring box velvet. Not proposal, promise ring, he said. For the unknowns. I slipped it on, silver band etched with a tiny loaf. Yes, I breathed, pulling him up, our world rising warm. Spring tiptoed into Willow Creek like a secret, mud sucking at boots, forsythia bursting yellow along fences. The promise ring glinted on my finger, a talisman against the thaw's uncertainties. Mark's trial date circled in red on the calendar, a specter we ignored with deliberate joy. Jordan and I dove into plans. Merging spaces, a shared wall knocked out for a bookstore-bakery hybrid. Dough and chapters, sign painted fresh. Contractors hammered while we dreamed. Poetry readings with pastry pairings, shelves of cookbooks beside Queer Lit. But emotions run deep, and mine stirred murky. Claire's letters continued, gentle probes into forgiveness. Not for Mark, but for the boy she'd watched grow toxic under parental pressure. He wasn't always this, she wrote. Blame the silence we all kept. Reading aloud to Jordan one rainy afternoon, his head on my lap, I confessed, part of me misses the before. He nodded, no jealousy, just understanding. Grief's greedy, takes what it wants. His own Theo anniversaries loomed, quiet days he'd spend shaping loaves like prayers, and I learned to hold space, not fill it. Friendships evolved, layers peeling. Riley came out as trans to the group. Top surgery funded by zine sales, euphoria lighting their face. Finally me. They said over brunch, scars fresh under a loose tee. Lena, ever steady, planned their recovery nest, soup stocked. We celebrated small, a hike to the creek, wild onions for Jordan's frittata. Family's what we forge, Lena toasted, her hand in Riley's, rings clinking glasses. Misunderstandings crept in anew, town-bred this time. Whispers swirled post-trial prep. Mark's lawyer painting him sympathetic, lovesick, while painting us villains, predatory city influence. Hargrove's circle revived petitions, this time for family values, zoning that threatened our hybrid build. Tensions coiled. A town hall loomed, mics hot with agendas. Jordan and I prepped speeches, voices steady but palms sweat slick. We're not the enemy, he practiced, pacing the kitchen. I added, we're neighbors, baking the same pie. Surprise struck en route to the hall. Claire, unannounced, waiting on our stoop with a suitcase. Trial witness, she explained. I shadowed. And amends. Dinner stretched long, her stories humanizing Mark, the kid who'd baked mud pies for siblings, the teen crushed by dad's disdain for his softness. Jordan listened, offering seconds of cobbler. Hate the man, not the boy, he said later, washing dishes. I nodded, the knot in my chest easing. Not absolution, but understanding, a step from victim to whole. The town hall crackled electric, folding chairs scraping gym floor, air thick with coffee and cologne. Mayor Wilkins called order. Hargrove rose first, voice quavering scripture. Protect our children. Murmurs swelled, counter voices rose. Lena's measured facts on inclusivity, Riley's fiery zine stats. Jordan spoke next, unflinching. I've lost love to illness, rebuilt with this town. Now, with Alex, we're building more. Let us. Applause scattered, then built, surprising even us. My turn. Heart hammering. I shared Mark's shadow, the violence born of unhealed wounds. Prejudice isn't just words, it's fists, it's fear. But love? It bakes us better. Silence, then nods. The vote swung narrow. Hybrid approved. Elation surged post-meeting, hugs from unlikely faces. Even Hargrove, handshake stiff but real. Give it a chance, she muttered. Conflict's embers glowed in private. Claire's presence unearthed memories. One night, post-wine, I snapped at Jordan over a misplaced key. Always the fixer. Can't you let me mess up? He recoiled, hurt blooming. I'm not Mark. The accusation landed wrong, twisting my intent. Storm brewed. Doors shut, silences stretched. Riley mediated next morn, coffee in hand. Triggers are thieves. Steal the now. We reconvened at the creek, water rushing apology. I see you, I said. All of you. He pulled me close. And I stay. Trial day dawned gray, upstate courthouse stark. Claire testified first, voice breaking on Mark's downward spiral. Our breakup the catalyst for his unraveling. Mark followed, shackled, eyes pleading mine. I loved you, still do. Lies, but laced truth. The judge saw through, sentencing probation, mandatory therapy, distance enforced. Outside, rain sheeting, Claire hugged me fierce. Free, she whispered. Jordan waited, umbrella steady. Ours now. Summer unfurled green. Hybrid opening a whirlwind. Ribbon cut amid cheers, shelves groaning, ovens humming. Launch party pulsed. Lena's playlist, Riley's toasts. Locals sampling lavender shortbread with sonnets. Success hummed, but deeper growth rooted. Jordan's vulnerability school, sharing Theo journals. My sketches evolving to murals on our walls, queer icons in flower and paint. High drama crested at Pride Month kickoff. A creek picnic, flags waving. But storm clouds gathered literal. Thunder rumbled as speeches peaked. Rain unleashing torrent. Tents sagged. We huddled under the bakery awning, drenched but defiant. Lightning cracked. A tree limb snapped, glancing Jordan's shoulder. Chaos. Medics called, panic sharp. In the ER glow, bruise blooming, he grinned through pain. Survived worse. Relief crashed. I kissed his forehead, tears salt mingling. Don't scare me like that. The scare bonded us ironclad, prejudices fading to footnotes. Hargrove baking for our events, her grandson's 2 dads, drawing pinned proud. Friendships flowered, Riley's first date post-surgery, Lena's promotion to regional archivist. Our love deepened, lazy Sundays tangled in sheets, whispers of forever. One twilight, orchard revisited, apples ripening early, Jordan carved our initials in bark, subtle, enduring. Roots, he said. I traced them, heart full. And branches. Autumn leaves carpeted Willow Creek once more, golds and crimsons swirling like confetti from our hybrid's first full year. Doe and chapters thrived, a heartbeat on Maine. Mornings of espresso and essays, evenings of erotica readings with espresso martinis. Jordan's innovations, gluten-free rainbows, Theo-inspired tarts, drew bloggers from the city, lines snaking to the creek. My murals climbed walls, vibrant portraits, Baldwin brooding over brioche, Wolf with wafer whispers. Success felt earned, fragile but fierce, built on conflicts weathered. Emotions delved deeper, therapy a weekly ritual, separate couches, then joint, unpacking layers. Jordan confessed survivor's guilt. Why me, not him? I'd hold his hands, grounding. Because you bake light into dark. Mine surfaced in dreams. Mark's face morphing Theo's, abandonment's echo. You're enough, Jordan affirmed, post-nightmare cuddles. Growth wasn't linear. Slips happened. Arguments over oven timers or late-night sketches. But resolutions sweetened, like dough-proofed patient. Friendships matured, branches spreading. Riley launched a support group, Creek Confidants. Basement meets at the library, sharing coming-out war stories or pronoun pratfalls. Lena, ring now to Riley in a creekside vow, chronicled it all in a town archive, unsung threads. They vacationed Catskills, returning with inside jokes and henna tattoos, intertwined vines. Entwined, Riley explained, flexing wrist. We 4 dined weekly, tables laden, laughter therapy's best chaser. Misunderstandings, once monsoons, dwindled to drizzles. One arose soft. Jordan's ex-friend, Ben, a bi guy from his Theo days, emailed collab ideas, bakery pop-up in the city. Jealousy nipped, irrational. I voiced it over breakfast, toast crumbs witnesses. Not him, just us. He deleted the thread, pulling me across the counter for a flowery kiss. You're my plot twist. Ease returned, trust's muscle flexed stronger. Surprises sprinkled joy. Claire visited proper, no suitcases, picnic baskets instead, her apology baked into brownies she'd learned from YouTube. For the hurt. We forgave piecemeal, her stories bridging Mark's chasm, his therapy breakthroughs, letters he'd written but burned. Healing solo sometimes, she said. Jordan nodded, but shared sweeter. She left with a job offer, archive assistant for Lena, tentative roots. Prejudice's remnants faded, town evolving. Hargrove's circle dissolved. She volunteered at Story Hour, reading Heather Has Two Mommies, with gravel voice but genuine smile. Her grandson, Eli, age 5, declared me Uncle Alex, tugging for tails. Broader shifts, school board nodding rainbow flags, diner adding pride pancakes. Not utopia, slurs still slipped at bars, but progress, inching. Climax crested subtle, internal, Jordan's health scare, a routine check flagging fatigue. Tests blurred days, echoes of Theo's decline, my panic visceral. Waiting room vigils with Riley's jokes, Lena's lists of worst-case plans. Biopsy clear, stress, overwork. Relief sobbed out in the parking lot, Jordan's arms my harbor. We're vigilant now, he vowed. Together. The scare reframed urgency. Life's dough, needed finite. We hired help, a baker's apprentice named Sam, non-binary and eager, easing loads. Post-scare, we chased whims. Road trip to Niagara, falls roaring like applause, hands clasped over diner fries. Marry me. Jordan asked, falls mist veiling, rings simple gold. No knee, just heart. Yes, I choked, kissing through spray. Wedding brewed casual, creek vows, friends officiating, Hargrove bringing cake. Riley's speech cracked laughs. From heartbreak lows to love's full rise. Lena's toast tiered, threads woven strong. Years blurred forward, Willow Creek home etched deep. The hybrid expanded, annex for workshops, queer writing with Jordan's fuel. Eli grew, out and proud by 12, crediting our shelves. Claire settled, dating a teacher, family mending mosaic. Mark faded to footnote. Last letter closure, no replies needed. Our love, once tentative, rooted ancient oak. Anniversaries with orchard apples, arguments rare as eclipses, makeups molten. Mornings, I'd watch Jordan knead, hands sure, and know. He'd known my secret from the rain-lashed door, kneading not just dough, but the spaces between, heart's hidden folds, rising us whole. In quiet nights, porch swing creaking, his head on my shoulder, I'd whisper, thank you for seeing. He'd smile, hazel eyes steady. Always did. Always will. And Willow Creek, with its whispers and warmth, cradled us. Love's bakery, endless proof.